Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon once again as per your respective time zones. On behalf of entire Mastek Managed Services team, we'd like to welcome you all to this 23A Cloud Financial Advisory webinar session. This important session is to keep you fully synchronized with the new features and functionalities as a part of this course release which Oracle provides. My name is Hardik Patel. I'm an operations manager here at Mastek Managed Services team. Today, I'm your host for this session, and I'm glad to introduce my colleague Prachi Bafna, who's part of our vast finance team at Mastek. Today, she'll take us through all the cloud financial updates for 23A quote release. Today's session is planned for around 45 to 60 minutes, and we'll also make sure that we leave some time to answer any questions you may have. We also have a panelist, Esha Shah, who's available with us to answer any questions you may have during the session and at the end. So please use chat or question panel. Before we move to agenda, as you can see on the screen, we can go through this disclaimer, please. We would like to convey your approach towards Oracle updates in a very simple method. We'll be taking you through vital analyses for the 23A updates done by our experts, which will help you incorporating new features and updates easily into your system. We will also sync you on any bugs or known issues if there are any. It's good to have an interactive session. So again, as we discussed earlier, please do ask questions through chat or question panel. In case if we run out of time, we'll note each and every question and we'll get back to you either on email or by connecting you even as a meeting invitation without fail. Thank you. This is to give you a glimpse on how we have created the structure of this session. So the first thing what you see is list of new features coming into 23A, detailing on features. So you get brief understanding on what new features are all about. And the next one is what are the business benefits and important takeaway for you as decision maker. There are 4 components where we have done the in-depth analysis of the features which we're going to present to you today. The first one is impact level analysis, the impact on an end user. If it's low impact, then regression testing can be avoided. If it's a high impact, then we need to offer regression testing. Second one, which is we all are aware, there are some features which are by default auto-enabled by Oracle, and there are some which we need to opt for. And the third one, what you see on the screen is the nature of the feature. There will be certain configuration which may be required, and some can be used without any changes. And the last one that you see on the screen is quick win. This term we use to simply convey that what is ready to use by investing minimum amount of time and what requires significant amount of time and efforts to make use of this feature. With this, before I hand it over to my colleague, we need a very small help from you, letting us know that which industry your organization belongs to, please. Thank you for the poll, and with this, I'll be immediately handing over to my colleague, Prachi, who will please unmute yourself and stage is all yours and begin today's session. Thank you. I'll be closing the poll now. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Hadik, for being a wonderful host and to kickstart the session. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, as per your respective time zones. I'm Prachi Bafna, finance consultant at Mastek, and I'll be walking you through the 23A finance release, quarterly release, which I've come across. So let us just see all the features which have come across in this particular release. So there are 19 new features which have come across in cloud financials, in which 11 are the quick wins. Quick wins are the ones where you need the minimal amount of time to be invested, or you do not need to enable anything to make them ready to use. The other 5s are opt-ins. Opt-ins are the ones which would need some amount of configuration changes, but not that would not have the major impact on the system if you opt in for these features. And the 3 are the not quick wins, which would require a major amount of configuration changes, or you need to enable certain things to make them ready to use, or you need to raise certain service requests with the Oracle to get them ready to use. So let's just see each feature one by one and First 11 features would be the quick wins. So the first feature would be related to the common modules, which is service excellence continuing investment. S- uh, these enhancements are very small and which has come across through the monitoring of performance trends, reviewing common use patterns, and analyzing the service request, and through the regular conversations or discussions with the customers. So this particular feature have been classified under three subcategories, which is usability, performance, and resiliency. So we'll see each one by one. So first of all, we'll see the usability. Usability have certain minimal or small enhancements which have come across for all the modules and not related to single any single module. These enhancements are so little or small that it would not impact the system as much, but would definitely improve the user experience with enablement of these features. So if we talk about usability features, so there is this enhancement with the business validation in import payables, where the import payables would ignore the purchase order details on the freight lines of invoice images. It would also enhance the efficacy of adaptive learning, so that it could detect the correct suppliers while using the adaptive learning from the purchase order. It has also enhancement related to the synchronization of transaction workflow status, which would recognize the transactions which are stuck in assigned, alerted, info requested, or suspended modes. So you can take the corrective actions or withdraw the transactions from approval process. So these are very small enhancements, but would definitely improve the user experience with that. Moving forward, we have performance enhancements, where there is the enhancement in the performance of validate payable invoice process related to tax calculation, where this tax amount is very small, or related to approval status or hold counts for every invoice. And it has also improved the performance for validate payable invoices process while generating the distribution line for each invoice. It has also improved the performance of create accounting program. So these are the improvement in the performances which with the new release. There is this section of resiliency which would prevent the generation of duplicate approval notification for intercompany transactions. Uh, if the users are creating intercompany transactions via ADFDI and UI simultaneously, so the approval notification should not be triggered by both the methods, and duplicate should not be there. So with this enhancement, this has also been catered. Moving forward, the another enhancement is related to common modules, which is recent approval email notification. So with this feature, you can resend the email approval notification even for the in-process transactions. This feature is basically for in-process transactions and not for the transactions which has not really been initiated at the moment. So you can reinitiate the or resend the email notification from the transaction console as well, and from the transaction details page as well. From transaction details page, you can go to actions button and resend the email notification. Once you try to resend the email notification, if there are multiple assignees for that particular task, you'll get a pop-up window where you'll see all the assignees for that task, and you can select the assignees for whom you want to resend the email notification. Or if you want all the assignees to be notified again, you can resend it to everyone. Once you have clicked on the resend and selected the assignees, it would change the status appropriately. The business benefit attached to this particular feature is that if you have lost the email due to some data loss, or you have deleted the email erroneously, then you can resend the email notification for that task. And there is certain special consideration which you should keep in mind, as I've already mentioned that these are for only for the in progress transactions. Also, if in between you have changed the email address from the original one, after the first notification, the second notification would be sent to the new email address and not the original one. Moving forward, the next is again in line with the common modules, which is workflow rules report for financial workflows. Earlier, before 23A upgrade, the workflow rules report would have shown the rules and workflow task for only payables, expenses, and journals, and not for any other financial workflows. But with the 23A upgrade, this workflow rules report would show the report or rules configured under BPM for another 15 financial workflows mentioned below, such as credit request approval, hold resolution, incomplete invoice holds, invoice accounting, account coding, etc. So you can have a workflow rules report and see review the rules which have been configured under the best practices or not. So the business benefit associated with this particular feature is that if you can uh, drill down the report and see the rules defined or modified under the BPM, uh, whether they are against the recommended best practices or not, or do they need any kind of amendments to make it more business friendly or user friendly. The next feature is related to budgetary control, which is budgetary control reservation of invoice payment when cash budgets has insufficient funds. So when the cash control budgets have insufficient funds, the system would show the budgetary control reservation failure error, and you won't be able to create the payments or make the payments to the supplier. And sometimes the payments are so critical that you need to make them immediately. So with this enhancement, you just have to tick the checkbox on of allow payment with insufficient funds under the advanced tab, and you can make the payments for the critical transactions. And you can make while you are using this feature, you can you do not need to wait for the cash control budgets to have the sufficient funds. So this is one of the features. uh, Next in line is related to general ledger. So in general ledger, we have future dated journal posting control in open period for average daily balance journals. With this feature, you can configure control on posting of future dated journals for under average daily balance ledgers. You can create a cutoff date or mention a cutoff date beyond which, if the period is open, uh, in the future dated journal should not be posted beyond that cutoff date. You have to enable limit posting to journal with dates on or before cutoff checkbox on. Once you tick this checkbox on, you'll get the details where you can feed in the account cutoff accounting date beyond which you do not want the future dated journals to be posted. If you have posted control on any primary ledger, then the associated secondary ledger and reporting currencies would also have the same controls. Benefits associated with this particular feature is this would enhance the control over the posting of future dated journals in average average balance journal in open period. And this would also calculate the accurate as of date ledger balances for the daily transactions. So these are the few benefits, and you need to make certain considerations before using this particular feature. Is that if you are posting control on any primary ledger, that would be posted on the secondary ledger as well, whether that secondary ledger is enabled for average balance processing or not. Moving forward, next feature is related to subledger accounting, which is exchange gain or loss treatment in foreign currency manual subledger journals. So when you're entering a foreign currency subledger journal manually or through spreadsheet, with this feature, system would automatically create a balancing line with exchange foreign currency exchange gain or loss. This would go in the rounding account, which is already set up by the users to for exchange gain and loss to be going into that account. But moving forward, if you want this account to be changed, you can create a manual journal and transfer this account from rounding account code to the new account code from in which you want this amount to be going. The business benefits associated with this feature is this would support the manual subledger journal creation with foreign currency exchange gain and loss. This would also automatically generates the balancing line, and you do not need to manually create the balancing line for any exchange gain or losses. The next one is related to expenses, which is pre-configured merchant category code mapping to expense types. Earlier, there was no category mapping to corporate card expense type was available, readily available. There are no lookup codes or lookup values which are available for this. But with this release, there is predefined lookup codes for merchant category mapping codes, and standard industrial classification codes are available, which you can use and for lookup types, and you can map it to corporate card expenses to derive expense types for corporate card charges. The next one is related to payables, which is cancellation of unsubmitted invoices to expedite period closure. So with this feature, you can cancel the unsubmitted supplier portal invoices. You can get the details of these invoices readily available either through manage transactions, manage supplier and portal invoices, or you can get that from period close exception report. In period close exceptions report, you have a summary section and details section. Both the sections have shown this change, the unsubmitted invoices under them. So in the summary section, you'll be able to see the count of the unsubmitted invoices, and in the detail section, you'll be able to see the details of those invoices which are not submitted or are in unsubmitted status in a separate table. There are changes which have come across in payables, unaccounted transaction, and sweep report, which are in line with the period close exception report as only. You can see the incomplete supplier portal invoices which are not yet submitted uh, under this report, and also you can take actions on these invoices without contacting to the supplier users. The next feature is related to payables, which is invoice line recognition rate details for monitoring accuracy. With this new feature, you can get the report uh, which would give you the invoice line recognition rate. If you are importing any invoices through IDR, whether those invoice lines are accurately imported, or how much recognition rate are those lines are having, this report would show. Earlier, this report was showing till header details. Now it has been showing the line summary details as well, where you can find if invoice line is recognized 30%, 40% more than that, or what actions you need to take to make it more efficient when you are importing the transactions through IDR. So the business benefits associated with this feature is you can identify the supplier and supplier sites where most of the invoice lines are having lower recognition rate or poor recognition rate. You can track the suppliers with poor recognition rate and take necessary actions to amend this, and it can improve the recognition rate in future. You can generate this report as at ledger level instead of business unit level. So you do not need to run this report at each business unit level, but you can get the report as a whole at the ledger level. So this is also a good thing, that you do not need to run it again and again for each business unit, and you can make use of that time. The next is also related to payables, which is matching of invoices with purchase order lines with vendor credits. So, when the purchase orders are having vendor credits, and you need to match those vendor credits to the invoice lines. Earlier, it was not possible. Now you can match the vendor credits as well to the invoice line. For example, if a buyer is trading in the older equipments, and he or she needs to buy newer equipments, and the purchase order is having a negative line for the older equipment, you can now match that negative line to the invoices, and this would improve the accuracy of the cost calculation for that particular item or purchase. The next feature is related to lease accounting, which is lease supplier amendments. So, this feature would enable the lease administrator to change the supplier and update the supplier payments through the amendments. So, with over the period of lease, the lessee would not be working with the same supplier and might need to change the supplier over the period of time. So every time creating a new lease would be time consuming, and not a good idea. So you can directly, with this feature, you can directly amend the suppliers over there, and it would also help you uh, adjust the new payments for that new supplier. So these amendments can be done on the current period as well, or the earlier period. That means it would work retrospectively as well. The business benefits with this feature are, it would streamline the lease amendments when the change while you are changing the suppliers. It would automate the reversal of the earlier payments and reissue of the new payments to the new supplier. It would track the audit history of the changes which have been taken during the lease period. So you can go back anytime and see the changes which have been made over the course of lease. So moving forward, the other features which are quick wins, and which are the quick wins but opt-ins. You need to enable or configure certain things to make them ready to use. For this one is related to general ledger, which is operational query capability for average daily balance ledger using OTBI. So with this feature, you can generate the reports on the basis of daily activities, average, and end of the day balances using the new subject area which has been come across with this feature, which is transaction average daily balance real time OTBI subject area. This is the subject area would generate a report related to descriptive flex fields associated with segment values as well. This has one new folder attached to this subject area, which is daily balances, and which would help you to extract the report related to the daily balance journal, and compare it with the standard balances. The standard balances subject area was already there, which is general ledger transaction balance real time But in this subject area, they have added one folder which is daily balances, and now you can generate the reports for average balance ledgers as well. The benefits associated with it is this this subject area would have all the benefits of the OTBI, such as trending charts, etc. And it would also enhance the auditability uh, with the standard balances. The next is related to expenses, which is monthly and lifetime rate limit enforcement for miscellaneous policies. With this feature, you can have the monthly and lifetime rate limit for the miscellaneous expenses. So if you are having the recurring expenses such as mobile bills or internet charges, you can set a limit beyond which an employee cannot reimburse for a period of 1 month. Also, you can have the lifetime limit policies as well, where you can have the policy set up for employees over the course of their employment with the organization. So if a employee is working remotely and they have to reimburse the work from home setup expenses, then we can limit those expenses to certain amount which they can get over the period of their entire employment with the organization. So this policy enforcement and this would increase the policy enforcement and auditing, as the auditors and the managers would have the warning displayed while they are while they are submitting the reports, that you cannot enter or reimburse any amount exceeding this limit. So they'll get the this pop-up warning message and they can take the necessary action on that. The business benefits associated with this feature is that company can have more control over the expense reimbursement by applying these limit on the reimbursements. They also the approvers and auditors have the visibility on the amount of reimbursement any employee is having over the period of 1 month, and if there is any policy violation, they can reject the expense and they can ask the employee to reinitiate the expense with the limited amount. The next one is related to advance collection, which is credit score addition to collection customers profile. So this feature would give you the credit score information for any collection customer on the customer profile as well as account level also. So with this information, business can take the necessary decision whether they want to continue with that customer, dealing with that customer, or they want to stop dealing with that customer if the credit score go beyond a certain limit. This credit score is this is the latest credit score which would be generated as per the credit case folder of the approved cases. So you'll get the latest credit score related to the transactions which have recently been taken care of and not the very old, so you can make a rational decision taking the credit score as the base. So the business benefits are you can have the current credit information and you can make the better business decisions regarding the customer, whether the delinquent customers are worth going ahead with, or you want to take corrective actions on those customers. The next one is again related to the advanced collection, where which is flexible wait time setting for collection strategies by transaction type. So you can specify the pre-wait and post-wait collection strategy time. So if a strategy is to be triggered, strategy task is to be triggered, you can have the pre-wait time as well and the post-wait time as well. So the strategy would see if there is any wait time before that in the background. If there is any wait time, say for 2 3 days, then it would wait for 3 days and then the strategy task would get triggered. Then it would wait again for 2 days, say, which is the post wait time, and then the next action would be taken. So it would give more space to take the actions for the customers as well. The business benefits for this particular feature is it would give the extended capability to the strategy task for any individual transaction, and it would improve the collection process as well, as it would give more space to the customers to take the actions, as it would have the pre-wait time as well and the post-wait time as well. The next features which are in line are the not quick wins, which need more configuration changes and would have higher impact on the system. The first one is related to common modules, which is workflow transaction console. So the workflow transaction console is basically used to monitor the workflow task and resolve any exceptions related to any task. So earlier, before 23A release, we have the workflow task work transaction console to monitor the workflow task only for payables, expenses and journals, but now you can monitor the tasks for payment approval workflows as well. So workflow transaction task is the single dashboard where you can monitor the task, take the corrective actions, and search the task through the user defined criteria. So how the workflow transaction console would work: you can view the latest status of all the tasks in the system. Then you can search any task by name or user defined criterias as well. You can also review any issue description and also the resolution actions for the failure. You can take the resolution actions from the transaction workflow itself and recover the task again from there, uh, from the workflow transaction console. So you don't need to navigate to anywhere else. You can go to workflow transaction and see the payment approval. If it is stuck somewhere, you can take the actions accordingly, which is available through the transaction console itself. The next one is again from common, which is get news feed suggestion on your next likely action. So with this feature, you can get the newsfeed suggestions for your next likely actions. So system would monitor, and through machine learning and certain algorithms, you can find out what all actions you have taken in past, and system would give you advice from for the next likely actions in the newsfeed itself. You do not need to navigate to each and every page, and uh, this would reduce your time, as it would give you more clearer picture, and in the newsfeed itself, that this is the next action you can take or you are likely to take, and if it is the same action, you can click on to that newsfeed and go to the navigate to the page, or take the actions which you need to take. So the benefits associated with this feature is, you can get the recommendation in the newsfeed itself for the next likely action. You can discover what others want you to take actions from your newsfeed. And as an administrator, you can pin certain suggestions in the news feeds to make it more visible. For that particular task to be more visible, you can pin that specific task. This feature, you need to raise the service request with Oracle to get this feature enabled for your system. Next is related to expenses, which is print preview for PDF and MS Office document attachments in expense report. So earlier, before 23A release, only the invoice attachment and expense report can be generated, can be printed. But with this release, you can print the preview of expense report along with the PDF, invoice doc, or XLS attachments as well. Not only the invoice image attachments you can get, but in a single PDF you can get the preview of expense report and other attachments as well, whether they are in any of the formats. So you can get a glance of all the things at once in a single PDF, and you do not need to navigate to the expense report to see if there is anything missing which you need to check before approving the expense or auditing the expense. The next one is related to the assets, which is cost clearing reconciliation improvements between fixed assets and payable for asset addition in secondary ledger. So with this feature would synchronize the currency conversion rate between the payables and the assets. If you are adding any assets through payables and the currency conversion rate for payables is different and currency conversion rate for assets is different, then there would be reconciliation differences, maybe smaller amount. But with this feature, you can synchronize both the conversion rates, and whatever amount you are entering as the invoice would be the cost clearing amount or cost of the asset which would be transferred to the assets, and you do not have to worry about the reconciliation differences of the cost clearing account. uh, the payables would transfer the accounted amount, which is uh, accounted amount, to the assets, which would be the cost of that asset, and which would be exactly similar to the payable invoice amount. So the cost clearing account between payables and asset would be fully cleared, and there would be no reconciliation differences. So and this would be related to the secondary ledger. If you need to synchronize the payables and asset currency conversion rate in the secondary ledger. So in the secondary ledger, assets are capitalized with their acquisition cost, and the asset clearing balance would be fully cleared between payables and assets with this new feature. So with this, uh, we are completed with all the 19 updates for financial cloud modules. Now I would like Hardik to take on the mic and take up the questions, if any.
So thank you for the wonderful insights, Prati, today. So before we move to the Q&A, I'll be launching one quick poll on the screen wherein we would like to note down your area of interest, please, whether it's technology innovations or managed services or value-based analytics, where we have been adding massive values to many of our existing clients, or Glide 4.0. If you need any information on any of these, you can you reach out to the existing support managers or the service manager. We'd be more than happy to arrange one-to-one session as well. Thank you. We'll be closing the poll now. Meanwhile, Aisha, can you check if you need to speak any questions, if you need to reply back through voice, or you've already answered through chat or question panel, please?
We have already answered, Hardik.
Okay, no worries. So as of now, we have no questions. We can say that. Just before you all leave us, we'd like to inform you that we have one more sessions coming up, which is supply chain inventory and order management and project portfolio management, part of finance only, PPM. And so that's for tomorrow. So if anyone has missed it, if you want to register or pass the message to your colleagues, please do the needful help. Also, we'll be sending you the presentation PDF recording sessions as well of today's session, all the previous and tomorrow's session in a few days' time, which will be available to you at a single click only. So please make use of this. And before you all leave us, we would like you to tell us how we did today on the scale of 1 to 5, where 5 means poor, 1 means poor, and 5 means very good. Your feedbacks will help us improving going forward, so please help us. Thank you. Thank you everyone for the poll. I'll be closing the poll now. And just the last question before you leave us, have you attended any of the previous advisory sessions, please? And with this poll, we would like to thank you everyone for today's sessions. And we've got one more question from a couple of attendees, if you can please answer, Nisha. And just to let you know that if we missed the answer answering a question, we will note this down and we'll get back to you immediately or an email without fail. So don't worry at all if you're unable to answer this. If this needs a good amount of elaboration, we'll get back to you on the email. So Aisha is checking the questions and she'll get back. If not here, then on email. So we'll be closing the poll now. And with this, we'd like to thank you everyone for their valuable time today. Thank you everyone. Once again, thank you.